Hey guys, hi, welcome back once again, and this time I wish to address once again the aspect of being without the doing. And this I have addressed in one of my previous videos wherein I had talked about the essence of being without the aspect of doing, which helps us understand a lot more about myself. So I'd essentially locked myself up to unlock my own self, which essentially again means that I had eliminated all possibilities of sight and sound, and I had even eliminated the possibility of time and space. So I had gone on to this state wherein I had closed my ears and I could hear no sound, and I had even closed my eyes for good 12 hours. And I would definitely say that I did cheat in between for 20 minutes. I can't deny that, because there was some kind of an information that flowed into me which I had to write down before I could forget it. So when I had taken up this experiment, the intention was to be able to see if I could sit with my own self in a the human-made limited space which I had given myself, apart from the times when I needed to go in for the natural organic calls. So beyond that, I had not moved from my space which I had given myself, which is essentially my bed, and I had eliminated even the possibility of time by blindfolding myself. I had eliminated the possibility of any kind of a distraction or an information that the subconscious brain constantly keeps processing. So for 12 hours, I had no sight of this, I had no sight of this, I had no sight of the water or the water bottle, I had no information about this or the information of this or the information of this or any information of this or even any information of this. So essentially, I had gone into diving in my own self. And when I did that, the intention was to understand if I could do it for my own self, within my own self. And trust me when I say this, it is the most difficult undertaking one ever takes up. We have been so conditioned and so attuned to the distractions, whether we consciously realize it or do not, but our subconscious brain, the brain at the deepermost level, the bottommost part of the iceberg, is constantly taking in information, and we may not necessarily be aware of it all the time. So there are times when tons of things are lying around when we are not even aware of that. But our brain is constantly taking it in. And when I blindfolded myself, when I removed the possibility of distraction, the brain chatter went into a state which was not fathomable for me. And I think that happens to most people. So once all of the distractions through the sound and through the eyes and through communication is removed, the only communication that we essentially get to have is with our own selves. And I could not believe, I literally felt that there were 10,000 or even more people in my head that were constantly chattering. And it went from tack, 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 constant flow of information, to the time I was like, oh my God, I would want my brain to stop for a minute. And at the same time, I was so fascinated with it. I was like, wow, there is so much that goes on that we barely realize, that we barely understand about our own selves. And this thing over here is in a constant influx. Tuck, 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 tuck. And when they say that probably a human brain on an average processes 60,000 thoughts every single day, I think they would still be underplaying it. I had not recorded my internal chatter. I had not recorded the 10,000 or 20,000 people that were chattering in my head, which is my own self. But I'm sure that there is more, because the brain is constantly trying to understand something. It is constantly trying to figure out something. It is constantly trying to look for a problem that it can solve and that it can make some meaning of, so that it understands it for its own self. So that is the evolutionary pattern of the brain. But to be able to understand that without any kind of a distraction, it is so very difficult to sit with our own selves. Without any kind of a distraction, whether it means sound or whether it means eyesight or whether it means the verbal communication. It is so difficult to sit with one's own internal self. And then I realized, if it is so difficult for me to sit with my own self because there are 10,000 people speaking inside, how difficult will it be for somebody else to sit with me? And if I can't make space for my own self, and if I need to be constantly distracted, why would somebody else not feel the same? Why would somebody else not do the same? And have we all not been trained and conditioned to living that way? How many of us truly sit with our own selves without truly having any kind of a distraction and be at peace mindfully with our own selves? I guess it takes time. I guess it takes patience, and I guess that's what evolution is also all about. And like I said, I had taken a 15-20 minute breather to write down something which I may forget if I did not pen it down at that point in time. I would want to read it out. So this was something that I addressed to myself, and the information had just flown in as I was just counting my breaths and then being with my breaths consciously. So here's what I wrote to myself. I promise I can be counted upon, for I am life. I am life, and therefore my soul, S-O-U-L, and soul, S-O-L-E, purpose is to evolve. If evolution is my soul and soul purpose, I will change and transform, and you can count on me to change, and I can count on me to change. If I am changing, my relationship with me is changing, and I, as Vaishali, the noun, will always honor that change, for I, as life, can and does work in no other way. If my relationship with me is changing, is constantly transforming, my relationship with other embodiments of life will also change, will also transform. Keeping in mind that it's only serving the process of evolution, individually and collectively. If me changes, the we changes as well, influencing each relationship constantly that I have with myself and with others. If my relationship with me as Vaishali is to honor the process of evolution, in the bigger scheme of life, my intention as Vaishali will be also to honor you as life in the process of evolution as well. And I, both as Vaishali and life, can be counted on to continuously, consciously evolve. At times stumbling, at times fumbling, but always finding my way towards change to evolve. For I, as life, am that way, and that's the only way I work to evolve. So that note was dedicated to my own self. I hope you can resonate with it on some levels. And then I went back to the earlier phase of removing all distractions. So last time when I had taken up such an ordeal with such an intention about understanding the beingness without the doing, by the end of the day, there was also this realization that I am grateful towards a lot of people for a lot of things in my life, and I had written personal letters to them, personal notes to them, telling them in what manner I'm grateful to them. But when this time I took this undertaking, there was this inflow of information that I'm firstly grateful towards my own self as life evolving. So let's try and do that and figure out for our own selves, is it truly easy to sit with our own selves without distractions? Is it truly easy to communicate with our own selves without resisting ourselves? Let's try and think about that. Let's try and figure that out for our own selves. And I will see you once again next week. Till then, stay tuned in.